So what's it like having EB as an adult? By the time I was 25, I had finished college, gotten my first job, moved out of my house, got married. And so I felt like I was on top of the world at that time. My skin was really good. I was starting to get better as far as my throat. And it's probably from the time I was about, 25 to 30 is when I felt my most normal, quote unquote, of my entire life. I was just doing very well. I was adapting to work very well. I didn't have really any problems at that time. My family was just in shock that I was able to go to work and carry on my house and do all the things that I was doing. But for me, it was something that I know I never took for granted, because it's something that, besides having kids, it's what I wanted, always wanted, that I never thought I would be able to do. At that point, I was also had been in my church for almost 10 years, and I call them my second family. They're just another layer of family that have been around me since I was a teenager, that non-judgmental, always there for me. They're praying for, I know they're praying for me all the time. And so I'm sure I was attracted to the fact that they just accepted me with open arms. And I enjoyed the time that I've had there, as far as serving in children's church. And even, now I'm doing work in the media room, where I display the background and do all the music for the service on Sunday mornings through the computer. And I just enjoy the service of being able to do all of those things, and the fact that I'm capable and able to do this. It brings me joy. Once I started having kids, I was about 29, 30 years old. And even though all my doctors had always said to me since I was young, she'll never have kids. She shouldn't have kids. As soon as I realized, the testing came back that I had recessive dystrophic, and that my children would have, the chance of having EB as anybody else's child would have, having EB. I just went for it. I was not about to hesitate. Had I had dominant, I would definitely gone another path, whatever, medically necessary. I was not going to bring another EB child into this world. It's just it's so horrific, and just, it's torturous to do that to another human being. So I was not going to do that, but I had my green light once I realized it was recessive. And that was in my early to mid 20s. So I had it in my head for quite some time that, when I was ready, it was something that I was going to do no matter what. My family was terrified. That's probably the one thing that they did not agree with me about. My husband at the time, and my best friend, Tiffany, I've known her since I was like 5 years old. She was completely on board, and my husband was completely on board. So that's all I needed, just to get me through, the pregnancy. And I mean, I did have complications that not related to the skin disease, but I easily recovered, and I was fine. Once the baby was born, I had my little girl in 2000, and my family realized that was okay. Then everybody kind of took a sigh of relief. And then everybody was there, just wanting to be helpful and be sure that I was okay and that I wasn't using my hands too much. I mean, there's just so many other little things that you don't think about that on an everyday basis. Now you have to think about. So, and just, the exhaustion of having a baby anyways, it all kind of did start taking a toll on me. But it wasn't enough to deter me. I was not going to just have one child. I always had it in my head I was going to have 3 or 4 children if I could possibly do that. And so I was able, while I was pregnant to continue working. And I worked up until I had my second child. He was about 6 months old when I stopped working for a while. He was born in 2002, and little boy named Jack. 6 months after he was born, I just realized that I was very tired and having just a hard time functioning with work, and my skin had started kind of in a decline. Um, Possibly, I mean, we don't know to this day, was it because it was just the normal routine of how this disease progresses? Was it having children? It could be a combination of both. But so I quit my job in the spring of 2003 to stay home with my kids. 4 years later, I had a third child. In 2006, I had my youngest boy, Luke. And by then, by the time he came along, I realized it was probably the last one that I could have. I was not in good shape when I had him. Did have some skin infections at the time that I was not recovering from. He was born with an infection of some sort. He does not. None of my kids have EB, but he was born 6 weeks early because my body kept getting high temperatures due to the infection. So it was kind of a mess, and my skin wasn't doing so hot by then. But luckily, I didn't have to work at that time, and I stayed home for another 5 years after that. So I was very fortunate that I was able to raise my kids until they got into school without having to work. My family, my great friend Tiffany, my church family, they all just came around. Whatever I needed, everybody just would help out because they knew it's hard anyways, and they knew that I was kind of having a hard time. But it was the joy of my life to be able to have those kids, and that they are, quote unquote normal. Also, they don't have skin issues. I'm sure they're carriers, but would I do it again? Yes. Never would I change that. Something that I didn't think twice about. But I knew that once my skin wasn't doing so hot, I needed to start taking better care of myself. So it took me a while to get back on track after I had my third one. I was also overweight. So just a lot of little things that was going on at the time. But I loved being able to stay home with my kids and make dinner and take them to the park. And I had play dates with Tiffany's kids and other kids, and we just it's the joy that I have. It's something that I would not have traded for anything. There was really not going to be any person that could tell me I should not do this. And I have loved being able to have the ability, the strength, the wherewithal to raise my kids. Now they're 20, 18, and 14. So I am so fortunate that I've been able to, for the most part, keep up with them and hopefully doing a good job with them. But it's something that, when I went back to work after staying home for so long, by then my skin was kind of going up and down. And it's also when I developed a sore on my back that would not heal. And it started to get bigger. It was deep. And that's when, I was not able to do all the things that I wanted to do with my kids, with my work. I started having to, take all my dressings to work because my dressings would bleed through or whatever. And it was just seemed like always a mess. And I couldn't sit down correctly, or I couldn't walk because I had too many blisters. My legs were swollen. Sometimes I just started having way too many issues. And that was hard. That part was hard. I had to stop working, get on disability. And that's when the study came around in 2017 that I did with Stanford. And that just revolutionized my whole entire life, because after being down and out, what it felt like down and out for so long, this study just gave me my life back. I mean, I almost feel like when I was back in my late 20s where I felt so healthy. And so it's been the greatest thing I get my life back, I get my kids back, I get everything back now that I don't have this horrible place on my back and all the issues that come with it. And now I just feel extremely healthy and I feel good and I can, I've gone to do, all the college visits and all the um, visiting family in East Texas. I get to travel, I get to do things, all the things that I want to do. Now I feel like I'm able to do it. My job is so much easier to do now that I don't have to worry again about putting dressings on or having to change or something because my something bled through or whatever, or the Vaseline. And it's just so nice now to be able to feel halfway back to normal. So I would say that, up until now, I've had everything that I've ever wanted. There's nothing I can say that I would have never had. I've had the biggies in my life. I've been able to do what I want, but it's also not just because of the grafts, but in my family, we don't stop. We don't give up. We don't, um, sit back and say, "Oh, I tried. It's over." I mean, there's always something else that you can do. There's never something that you cannot do. And if you do it and you fail, then that's okay. At least you tried it because that still got you one step closer to accomplishing something, and you learn something from that. So, I mean, I wouldn't change a thing on how I've lived my life or even having children. I would never change any of these things. And so my adult life has been very fulfilling. I feel like I'm really the most fortunate person in the world just because of all of these things I get to do. And I love it. I love it. I just wanted to say thank you for tuning in and watching these videos. I know that making connections any way possible through all of these formats is a good thing. You can learn more about me. You can learn more about how EB does have hope. There is a way to maneuver through it. And so I hope that you can spread the word and allow my story to come into your life in order to help in any way possible. I'm here to just put the word out that there is treatment, there is hope, and there is a life. So I just want to say thank you so much. And I hope that you can keep tuning in and just get as much possible out of all of these videos and connect. Let's just get connected. Thank you.